I.S.U.P.K.
So tell me, how can I turn the other cheek while this wicked world trying to smother me? Something gotta shake, I'm gonna cry it out. Time to gird up my loins and ride out. In my soul I feel devastation. In my eyes I see desolation. On my door, death is waiting. But I don't wanna see no more desolation. I said, I don't wanna see no more.
Inside this Bible, real quick, get me back to Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. Everything he's saying is inside this Bible. We real quick to turn a gun on another black and Hispanic man, but once we have a police come in our community and shoot and murder one of us, all we do is go out there and march. All we do is go out there and have a riot. We go turn the vote as if voting going to solve anything. Like how I was bringing out, voting not going to change nothing in our community. Voting not going to change the system because the system is working perfectly fine. You understand? It's working perfectly fine. These police don't have to be reformed because they know how to de-escalate a situation. They arrested that Michigan high school shooter without a shot being fired. They know how to de-escalate things. They know how to do it, even when there's a gun involved that still have live rounds inside the weapon. All we want to do is go out there and vote and try to change the system, and try to change the system. The system don't need to be changed. This is what we need. We don't need to try to vote to get the system on our side in order to beat the system. That's never going to work. It is insanity because we've been trying to do that for what, 80 years now? We got the right to vote in the 60s. It's 2022. How many years is that? That's almost a decade. What is it, a century? Almost a century. Almost 100 years of voting, and we think that something going to change. The system not changing because it's not broke. You know the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's why the system not changing, man. That's why it's not changing, because it's not broke. That's why these police are not being reformed, because they are trained. Because they are trained, man. We don't need to vote to get justice. We don't need to vote to beat the system as blacks and Hispanics. This is what we need. Read what you got.
God, the book of the book of Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversary.
If you have not noticed, we have an enemy as blacks and Hispanics, man. The enemy is not your fellow black man, not your fellow Hispanic man or woman. The enemy is the person who's been an enemy since we got over here in slavery. As a race of people, white people have been an enemy to black people since we came over here in slavery. It ain't about no individual white person. You probably have not harmed a black person at all, but your race have harmed our race as a nation of people. They have been our enemies, man. And God said if we want him to be an enemy to our enemies, we have to obey him. We got to keep these laws in this Bible. And people think we crazy for saying that. But nobody's crazy for voting for 80 years and not having no change. Voting to fix the system that is not broken. I have to continuously say it because we don't understand it. We've been voting for 80 years. And once election time come around, we're going to have the same pastors saying, go rock the vote. All these some celebrities saying, go rock the vote. All your grandparents, even the OGs on the block. Your pastors, your imams, everybody gonna be saying, go vote. Go vote for what? To fix what? Something that's not broken? It works fine for Kyle Rittenhouse and his people. That's what it was meant to work for. That's what it was meant to work for, and it's working fine, man. God said he'll be an enemy to our enemies if we obey him. Understand, another black man is not your enemy. Another black woman that likes your black man, that's not your enemy. The people who is pushing abortion on our race is your enemy. The people who is trying to eliminate the masculinity from black men by pushing this homosexual LGBTQ is your enemy. The people that's pushing abortion and trying to push all these drugs into our community since the crack epidemic is your enemy. And God said he'll be an enemy to our enemies if we obey him. That's all it takes. That's the revolution right there. understanding that Christ is a black man and he came to save blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. That's the revolution. Not having guns, picking up guns and going to kill white people, that's not going to change nothing. That's not the revolution. As you can see, as Officer Morale brought out, we scared to even harm a white person. Scared to rob a white person. We see a white person jogging through our community at 8 o'clock at night. We stay away from them. Stay away from them. But a black woman walking down the street 8 o'clock at night, she feels her life is in danger. Because we would be an enemy to our people before we would be one to white people. So the revolution is not about picking up a gun and shooting nobody, because that's never going to happen. Black people is never going to pick up no guns and go to war with America. It is never going to happen. Closest we got was the Black Panthers, and even they was destroyed. They shot themselves, man. They shot themselves. This new Black Panther Party, they came out and shot themselves. The original Black Panthers, they came up and they was trying to do the right thing. They was trying to gather blacks and Hispanics, just like Martin Luther King, just like Malcolm X. You understand? But they was selling crack and coke. It don't matter if you're trying to gather God's chosen people together and overcome this oppression. If you're not serving God, if you're not keeping these laws and commandments, it don't matter what organization or movement try to come about to help blacks and Hispanics. Black Lives Matter came and it went. Crystal Kaiser's still fighting that case, man. Been 4 years now, she's still fighting that case because she killed the man that was sex trafficking her since she was 16. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, every single last black movement that came about fell because we are not serving God as a nation of people. Read it from the top.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 22. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak.
Hold on, we're gonna let this sound go past. Every Saturday, there's always a goddamn fire truck or some ambulance coming down here to go nowhere, trying to interrupt the speaking of the prophets of God. It's not gonna work. Read what you got.
I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries.
That's what happened when the Israelites was in slavery in Egypt. We went back to serving our God, and he was an enemy to our enemies. That's why Moses parted the Red Sea. Everybody know about Moses parting the Red Sea, but nobody really knows why he did it. He did it because the system in Egypt was oppressing God's chosen people. And God didn't tell Moses to go be democratic about it. God didn't go tell Moses to go vote or go join the Egyptian government to change his people and to free us from God's oppression. God told Moses to go tell Pharaoh to free his people from this oppression, or he's going to send plagues down on the land of Egypt. That's what the prophets have always done, man. Always warned about the wrath of God coming to our oppressors. And now we back in 2022, the prophets doing the same thing. We warned everybody about this whole coronavirus, this whole pandemic. And now they got a new variant. I don't even know the name of it. Omicron. This Omicron variant. Everybody calling it the Omarion variant. That's God sending plagues on America because they have his chosen people in oppression, in slavery. God didn't tell Moses to be democratic about it. God wasn't trying to change that system because that system in Egypt was working perfectly fine for him until God sent Moses and they destroyed Egypt. Now we still in America trying to change the system that's not even broken, that's not even faulty. There's nothing wrong with the system, man. If you're a Caucasian person, if you're anybody other than a black or Hispanic, there's nothing wrong with the system. It ain't no reason to try to fix nothing, man. Nothing. Give me Job chapter, give me Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 6. God said if we obey him, then he'll be an enemy to our enemies. We don't need to go out there and vote because we've been voting for 80 years. Is it not clicking in your head? 80 years we've been voting and it ain't changed nothing about the system. It ain't changed nothing about our community. 80 years, almost a century. It didn't change, it didn't make nothing better. Our community has been getting worse and worse. Go look it up. Since the 60s, our community has been getting worse. And guess when we got the right to vote? In the 60s. The system ain't broken. There's nothing that we can do that can fix it. You understand? Because it's not broken. Give me Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 6. You understand? He said he'll be an enemy to our enemies if we obey him. Don't nobody want to be an enemy to God. You know the truth in there, because when you feel like you ain't been living right, when you feel like you sinned against God, you always looking over your shoulder trying to find out when your punishment going to come. Right. When you feel like you really went against God and you done something morally wrong, you feel like God is going to punish you every single second of every day. It's on your mind every day. But nobody want to be an enemy to God. He's the author of life and of death. Who do you think sent this COVID-19? Omicron variant, whatever you want to call it. Mariam, who do you think sent that? Who do you think sent the flood during Katrina? They down there doing all that voodoo, you understand me, trying to serve all these different gods, and God sent a hurricane down there. If God sent the flood during the time of Noah, who do you think sent that flood down there in Katrina? You understand me? Nobody want to be an enemy to God, man. All we got to do is serve our God. Stop doing these Christmases and Thanksgiving and New Year's and Easter and birthdays and hookah. I can't understand how a grown man can be inside the bar smoking hookah. Everybody always want to smoke something. Everybody want to suck on everything. We have such a passive, soft men. That's what our community is filled with. A bunch of passive, soft men that just want to get high and chill. Just be real mellow all the time. That's what we do to you. It takes the masculinity away from you. It takes it completely away from you, man. We gotta put that weed down. Put that pork down. That ham down, man. Do away with Christmas. Do away with Thanksgiving. All these days is not inside the Bible. Talking about Christmas is when Christ was born. They say Christ was born when the shepherds was out inside their fields letting their sheep graze, letting their animals roam. You don't do that in the winter. Say he was found in a manger. That's being outside in the dead of winter. A baby not going to survive outside in the dead of winter, man. This is not Christ's birthday. It's not Christ's birthday. Christ was born in the springtime. Christmas ain't got nothing to do with Christ. They got everything to do with serving different gods. And that's why it's a sin according to this Bible, man. We gotta cut these sins out. And God said he'll be an enemy to our enemies. Because right now, God is an enemy to us as blacks and Hispanics. Look at our conditions, man. We can't get no type of justice from this so-called justice system. They say liberty and justice for all. It's not for us. It's not for us. Ask Crystal Kaiser. She's still battling that charge of first-degree murder because she killed the man that was molesting her. Got the same charge as Kyle Rittenhouse. Get this through our heads. The system is not broken. We are failed as a people because the people that's leading us is leading us to sin. Leading us to do Thanksgiving. When God said we shouldn't follow the customs of the heathens. Customs of the heathens are anybody that's not blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Anybody that's not the Israelites. Everybody out here doing Thanksgiving. All these Muslims out here doing Thanksgiving. Christians doing Thanksgiving. Egyptologists, everybody doing Thanksgiving, man. Our leaders has led us to nothing. Led us to destruction, man. That's where our leaders have led us to. We ain't going to make no change if we continue to follow these pastors, these imams, these celebrities, man. All we're going to do is continue to walk down these streets and go out here and smoke weed and have sex with all these white men and do nothing but go on OnlyFans and Pornhub all day and continue to be destroyed as a nation of people. We're going to continue to walk up and down these streets and work 50 hours a day just to make ends meet. And that's life for us, man. Continue to get molested as a child. All our children being molested, growing up without no fathers in our home, because we continue to listen to all of these philosophies in America, which is leading us to nothing but destruction. God said all we got to do is please him and he'll be an enemy to our enemies, man. Read what you got.
The book of Joel, chapter 18 and 11. Terrors shall make him a frame.
Say what?
Terrors.
What?
Terrors shall make him a frame on every side.
It say terrors shall make our oppressor afraid on every side, man. That's God being an enemy to our enemies, sending terrorism onto America. That's what 9/11 was. That was an attack by God on America, because they oppressing his chosen people, because they murdering his chosen people and not being charged for it. Nobody was ever charged for slavery. They tell us to just forget about it. How can we forget about something we're still being affected by to this very day, man? Right? To this very day. A recent study came out and said that trauma from slavery can be passed down through our genes. As much traumatic events happen in slavery, we still suffering for it. Nobody paid for it. We were just told to get over it. We were told to forget about it. But every 9/11 we told to never forget. You're right, we should never forget 9/11, because that's when God sent terrorism onto America.
That's right.
For oppressing his people. We ain't never gonna forget that. It say terrorists shall make him afraid. That's what these school shooters are. No matter what the media try to say about these little white boys that shooting up these schools, they are terrorists. They are terrorists. In this new Michigan school shooting, that 15-year-old was charged as an adult for 24 crimes, including murder and terrorism. He was charged for terrorism because that's what a school shooting is. It's terrorism. And God said what? Read it again.
Count of God. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side.
It say terrorists shall make him afraid on every side.
We want no cowards in our camp,